Okay. Hello and welcome to a little bit of wellness. I'm joined here by Tara, my first guest. Tara, welcome. How are you?
Hi, Fark. Thanks so much for having me. I'm good today. How are you?
I'm very well now. So just to start off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I always hate these questions because it's like, do I give you everything? But I'll give you the snippet of my name is Tara Zgaga, and I am living in Limerick in the countryside. I am originally from, well, half Croatian, half Irish, but born in Australia. I'm a nurse by trade. I'm a twin. My favorite color is yellow. And yeah, that's a little snippet of me.
Very good. So you've a nice broad culture there.
Yeah.
And you have been abroad yourself for a while, weren't
Yeah.
you?
I recently came home from Australia. I was in Australia in the Northern Territory in Darwin for 2.5 years. So I only came home in March there, as I was saying to you recently, and I only came for 10 days to see my family. And then the whole pandemic took off in March. So I decided to stay. And here I am nearly a year later in Ireland.
Well, we're glad to have you for sure anyway.
Thanks.
So just since you're in Australia, would you find a difference with, like, say, the people and how the culture is and how they act compared to over here in Ireland?
So Australia has a lovely history in the terms of the Aboriginal people are the true Australian people. And in the Northern Territory where I was living, a large amount of Aboriginal people are living there. Most of the Aboriginal people are in the Northern Territory. In terms of acting, the Aboriginal people have such a different history to us, and there is quite a big history of pain for them. And we could get into it further, but long story short, they've gone through a lot in terms of their own pain and things with Western people coming in and taking over their land and, being segmented to a certain area of Australia. And only recently, we'll say a few years ago, Aboriginal people were actually thought to not be human beings. They were being captured and treated like animals. So there you go. Straight away, you can see that, other people looked upon them as very different to a human being. And I've worked quite closely with them, and I can tell you they are absolutely lovely human beings, with a big history of pain, you know.
Yeah, so there's kind of a big divide in the country. Is that what you kind of
There's a
say?
massive divide, and it's quite it's sad to see because I know Australians celebrate Australia Day, but I think there's a lot of conflict around that because it's quite hurtful to Aboriginal people, because I think the Australia Day represents maybe when they conquered Australia, but that's quite unfair for Aboriginal people because they're the true original Australians, you know?
Yeah, that's very true. It's a bit like here, we have the North and ourselves.
Yeah, true. Divide again in people and cultures and religion and whatever causes it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you were nursing yourself over in Australia, weren't you?
Yeah, I was nursing in Royal Darwin Hospital, so it was quite a busy hospital and a surgical ward, and I was there for 2 years probably full time working as a nurse there. Yeah.
And how would you compare? You've nursed in Ireland as well. Is there much difference in the healthcare systems between the
There's
two?
a massive difference, I feel. As you know, a lot of Irish nurses immigrate to Australia, but I often feel it's because there's just a better work-life balance in Australia. There's not 12-hour shifts. There's more staff, so they can rotate on a three-shift rotation. So you just have a easier sense of life. It's not so burnout. In Ireland, I feel like you burn out very quickly because I've experienced it, and I can see from other people there's quite a high burnout rate. And when there's burnout rate, there's no passion. People are, scraping for energy, and it can be quite a hard work environment. I found myself in Ireland.
Yeah, it's just everything that seems to go on in the Irish health system, like you see in the dispute with nursing pay and everything. It's I think it's highly unfair on nurses, really, like over here. It's
I know there's a lot to be said and still done, I think, to recognise maybe what nurses do. And I remember recently, was it a politician saying that nurses should be grateful that we're working in our vocation, that many of us aren't lucky enough to be working in our vocation. But just because that might be something we're born with, we still need to get paid, and we still need to be valued, and we need to be looked after just like anyone. Otherwise, if you don't look after, we're not going to stay, and we're going to leave and go somewhere where, life is treated us, better.
Yeah, 100%. It's only fair, really. It's something hopefully that it gets looked at in the next years, really.
Exactly. And now with COVID, maybe there's quite a highlight on the whole area of the health sector and how much we really are at the front line and putting our lives and our, health at risk. Yeah.
100%. Hopefully in the next few years, maybe COVID will be like positive and it actually has a good impact with them kind of things, you know.
Exactly.
And since you're home, you have explored a bit of a career change. So you're gone from nursing into
Well, not gone. I'm always going to have nursing as my, my background, my foundation of, the career I went into. But recently, I've just started to explore the areas that I will say I picked up a lot of skills along the way. So yoga, I became a yoga teacher back in 2018 for a month. I did a course. Then I picked up Reiki, dealing with the energy bodies of, our bodies. And then I picked up recently, well, actually I got the crystal sound bowls, but that's all incorporated into the same topic of wellness and yoga and healing and prevention of diseases rather than, looking after people, because I've spent quite a lot of time at the end of, we'll say, the river of life, when people have already made the bad decisions, made the wrong choices, and we're dealing with, trying to get them back to their health. Whereas I think I would be more passionate going forward working in prevention, because it's quite, it's more uplifting, I think. And
the river of life. I like that, the river of life.
Yeah, I know. I remember doing an analogy in university, a drawing of the river of life, and it's stuck in my mind. And ever since, I've really enjoyed that analogy to work with,
It's the first time I've heard it now. It's a really nice description of it. Yeah.
There you go.
So you had a yoga class this morning, did you?
Yeah, and I have one at 7:00 this evening, one-on-one. The one I had this morning was free. It was live on Instagram. I said last night I was in bed and I was like, you know what? I need to not be so afraid. I need to go and, forward with the things that I feel like are helping people and, put it out there. So I had a free live yoga class and I was delighted to get up. Once I was up and moving, I was fine. But when the alarm went off, I was like, no, I can't. But then once I was up, I was really happy. And yeah, that's kind of a little rough idea of a yoga class, starting with the breath work, moving through the body movements, and then ending with some guided meditation to release, the ego mind and work with some chakras and things.
Very nice. And you said you did a yoga course for a month. Where did you do that again?
I did it in Bali, in Sentosa, so in Indonesia, Bali, a small island there for 1 month. Yeah, it was pretty powerful stuff.
Very nice. And did you go there deliberately, like as in purely for the yoga course, or was it a holiday and you ventured into yoga afterwards? Or
I remember I was working in Australia for 1 year, like full time, and I was kind of due a holiday. I was like, I need to go on a holiday, and I'm not the type of person who like wants to go on a holiday and sit by a pool and drink mojitos all day. At this age of my life, I'm trying to just learn as much about myself and, the journey of life. And I decided to go and do something, but also incorporate a holiday. So a yoga course just stood out to me. And before that, I'd done 1 yoga class in my whole life. So it was really throwing into the deep end. Like I arrived there never having really done much yoga, but it was quite coincidental how I chose the yoga place that I went to. The book, The Power of Now, I had read maybe 6 years previously up the fields in Tempelate on a summer's day. And this particular yoga class or yoga school said that you need to read the book, The Power of Now, before you come here. And I was just like, ding, 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 I've read this. And it was kind of the one book that set a light bulb off in my mind about just the spiritual journey of life and being more of a conscious being. And for me, that was like a big synchronicity and a sign. So I went there and I did my teacher training yoga and it was amazing.
yeah, it sounds like, little things like that. It's amazing when you go to explore something new that something kind of, aligns itself like that. It's really cool.
Yeah, you need to look out for the signposts.
And what was Bali like? It sounds like a really class country. There's something about it, like,
Oh my God, have you been?
I haven't, but I definitely want to go. I have a friend over there, and it just seems so
I
casual.
feel like there is such humbleness. The people don't seem overly rich. They seem quite a lot of them are poor, but there is a very spiritual feeling that I get when I'm there. And I think a lot of people can resonate with that. Even like I have an incense lighting now, but in Bali, they light incense every day and it's all to like get rid of evil spirits. And they create these little bamboo plates with sweets and chocolates, and they're all offerings to the gods. So they're really recognizing evil spirits and trying to do good. And yeah, it's an amazing place to go, you know. And being in Darwin, I just utilized it because it was only like an hour's flight. So I made sure, you know, I made the most of being close to this country, you know.
Yeah, that was handy. That was nice how it worked out.
Yeah.
Just you're on about there, like kind of getting rid of the spirits. What are them things? Do you know? You might know what they are. Do you know them things that go on? You hang in your bed. It's like a little. What are they called
Well,
again?
there's a dream catcher one, and that's to catch your dreams. But there's also the evil eye one to take away like evil spirits, and
Yeah,
yeah, the little things that you can use if you're, you know, a believer of different energies and things. Yeah.
yeah. A lot of people say they like really work. Like, you know, I see
Yeah.
loads of people really
Only
like
one way to find out.
exactly 100%. And and just with yoga, then, so like a lot of people have this kind of preconceived idea. It's all like about stretching and flexibility. Like, what is yoga for you? And there's like different styles of yoga. I've heard of Ashtanga. Butcher that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
But
there's a lot of language around yoga. It's the same in any new job. If you go into the medical field, there'll be another new language. But for me, like some things stand out, like the saying "Chiti Vritti Naroda," which means ceasing the fluctuations of the mind. And for yoga, yoga for me is about like stopping the monkey mind, getting connected to our breath, our body and our mind all connected to one, and they call a thing called pranayama, which is life force energy. And yoga isn't about looking amazing and going into a pose. It's not about getting out of breath. It's about slowing down, coming back, coming into your body, feeling connected, feeling grounded, you know, feeling a real sense of being present in your body, because the rat race of life has caused a lot of us to move out of our body because we're worrying about the future, we're thinking about the past, we're trying to get this done. Whereas yoga just puts the brakes on everything. It stops you, and you just learn this amazing tool that I think you'll carry for life, which I have. And obviously, straight after doing it, I just was practicing myself. But now I've come to a point in my life where I'm like, this works amazingly for me. So I want to share these tools and skills, you know?
yeah, 100%. And like especially like I noticed there with like loads of older people, my grandparents as they got older, they lost like mobility so fast. And I just think like a huge target market like for the likes of you and for the local people would be like people during their mid 50s, like you're saying, prevention rather than cure. Like
Yeah.
you know, back pain, everything. It's such a great thing with arthritis and all that. Like so
Absolutely, because there is so much strengthening within it, you know, but for me, it's not about strengthening. The strengthening just comes as a bonus that's going to be there, you know. So you're totally right, because there is a lot of people who suffer with back pain and people who are stiff. You know, sometimes when I get into some of my poses, the girls or the guys who are watching are like, how are you so flexible? But I never was always that flexible. It's true yoga, it's true moving, it's true waking up our body, through opening up the chakras that might be blocked and loosening out those limbs, letting go of worry and stress. And that just makes your body more like, you know, like a little jelly, you know?
yeah, it's sure like yoga is proven to be like one of the main relievers of like cortisol from the body, like our stress hormone. So it's amazing like how it's more beneficial nearly for our minds than our actually bodies itself, and how you can
Exactly.
connect together, like you were saying. So
Exactly, yeah. And certain movements, you know, we'll say movements that connect with your tummy and your abdomen is actually like activating the parasympathetic nervous system, and all those things is going back to what's chemically going on inside the body. And if we can activate the nervous system that slows down things and that like produces the hormones that tell us we're safe rather than adrenaline, fight and flight, then like subsequently you're reducing the size of your telomeres. All these things then help you live a longer life, because as you know, stress causes us to, you know, maybe burn out quicker and, you know, not make the right choices for our bodies.
yeah, and with your own experience, so like a lot of studies are like suggesting that women are kind of the ones that get most exposure to yoga. Like the ratio of female to males is really like high in the favor of females. Like, what would you say to if there's men out there looking at this and they might want to try a yoga session with you or anything? What would your message be to men to maybe explore that?
I like did a private class before kind of COVID took off and when the restrictions were open, and I did a private class with 2 women and a husband, and out of the 3 of them the husband was the best. He was so good. I was actually kind of flabbergasted, and I asked him afterwards, how are you so good at it, like? And he just, it's like he had done it before, and he had said years ago he had done it. And I made a poster not that long ago advertising, doing yoga. And there have been several guys who have called me, but it was a kind of an issue trying to get a venue just with COVID times. But Zoom call is working out really well, to my surprise. I wasn't thinking it would be good, but it's worked out fantastic, really. And you don't have to drive anywhere. You just create your little space in your room. And yeah, absolutely, like, yoga isn't just for girls, it's for our bodies, it's no sex is on it, it's for us humans, to enjoy. Most of the yoga comes from Krishna, Acharya, and they're all Indian gurus, and most of them were men.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah, it's like the origins from India, or origins from India. Like you'd never really like associate anything Indian from the past with, like, it's always male orientated. Like, so
Yeah,
it's how that happens. But
yeah.
yeah, so have you any details on like classes for future so people can kind of know what to get into?
At the moment, it seems I'm kind of like putting a lot of my energy and just advertising and showing people what I'm kind of manifesting on my Instagram, and that's just you find my name's Tara_Zgaga, and then a little bit on Facebook, but I'm trying to just stick to the one. And some people have reached out on Facebook, and that's fine. I might put a little bit here and there, but just hit me up on social media or email me. My email address is also out there, tarazagaga@yahoo.ie. So yeah, one-to-one or group. Like if you have a family who's interested, or like an uncle or an aunt, get a few people, get a Zoom call going, and we go from there, and see, do you like it? It might work out for you and it might not, but the biggest thing is it's so beautiful, and for me it's a tool that I appreciate so much.
That's great. It's great to have something that's an outlet. It's for you, and you can, once you can share it with other people, it's fantastic when you have the ability to do that.
I know, I'm so glad I actually come to that point, I suppose, where I can share it, because many of us, I suppose, go into teacher training yoga. I didn't go into it to become really like this massive teacher. I came into just to learn about it myself and really absorb myself in this 1 month. But I came out of it just realizing this is so amazing that I eventually want to teach it. And little by little, then I had the confidence to just teach it. And now it's just so nice because you just see the benefits at the end of the class. It's just so nice when the person gets up from after the guided meditation and they're just so, just, you can see it. It's just like, it's like a drug, but they've taken nothing, no alcohol, no cigarettes. It's their own breath that's done this for them. And that's a powerful insight for a person to experience.
Yeah, it's amazing the power that like just exercise, activity, and connecting with your body and mind has. Like it's better than any drug. I always say it, like,
so beautiful. We're so lucky. We have everything we need within us.
yeah, definitely. And with yoga, it leads us on to our kind of next topic. So yoga would really enable us to kind of flourish as human beings. I know it's something that you're really interested in. For just the viewers that don't know what flourishing is basically functioning at your optimum human self, basically. What does that mean to you?
Becoming this amazing flower. I just think of flowers when I think of flourishing. But flourishing is, yeah, becoming the best version of yourself and trying to be like, a lot of it comes back to the psychology of our mind. And I remember in nursing school learning the triangle, Maslow's hierarchy of need. And at the top of that was self-actualization. So at the bottom is like, you need a sheltered home, you need food, you need water, and you need love, then self-esteem, then comes self-actualization. And those things for me, I think in the end would mean I really flourished. I spent this journey of my life and becoming a flourished version, but it can be very difficult because it's all about the people around you as well. And if they're not also flourishing, they're going to be trying to trigger you, they're going to be trying to piss you off. They're going to be trying to get you down into their level of psyche. So, flourishing is amazing, but it's a challenge, but everyone can do it. We just have to be awake and try not to be so triggered by, other energies, and protect your energy.
Yeah, definitely. Like a lot of it, I just feel it has to do, like in terms of you're saying there, the people around us, like our social well-being is so like vital for our actual been able to flourish. Like I see, like social integration is a huge factor. Corey Keyes does great work on it. He's an American sociologist, and he has 5 main factors for like it to be able to flourish.
Yes.
One of them is social integration, and basically that's how you integrate with the people around you. So you'd see so many kids there when they're growing up and they just don't have a lot of friends, and it's amazing how it's very hard for them to flourish. And maybe it comes for them later in life when they go to college and they actually meet people that are interested in the same things they are. Next thing you see, suddenly, oh wow, look at what they're doing now after being so quiet in school and everything. And it's fascinating how them things kind of happen, like, you know.
It's wonderful to see, because it's just that person accessing the inner power within them and realizing what an amazing person they are, and then they allow themselves to flourish. But if you have a negative pain body and you talk to yourself quite negatively, you're preventing yourself from flourishing. But a lot of it comes from our childhood or maybe past ancestral things that we've been passed down. So it's each person's responsibility to recognize that. And at the end of the day, if someone has caused you pain and sorrow, it's your responsibility to heal yourself. And going forward, then you need to make the right choices that, you know, you protect your energy and, you know, you allow yourself to flourish, as you were saying. And yeah, absolutely.
I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as in the things that are put in front of us, as in the difficulties and the challenges, I think they're there to make us grow and become better. If you
Yeah.
it's all about your mindset towards said situation and try making the best of it, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, you just hope that you have the tools and the coincidences in your life to, we'll say, like me learning the yoga and going to do that yoga, it's led me to, I suppose, make wiser choices in my life. But I suppose you just have to be able to give yourself that time. You know, I easily could have gone on a holiday, on a crazy party holiday, and I've had those party holidays. But then there comes a point where you're like, I've been there, I've done that. You know, now I'm going to maybe look after myself a bit more or learn about myself, you know.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people kind of, I just notice say around here in terms of meaning and things like that, they just struggle to find, especially in an area like we are, it's a rural community, there's not a lot to be doing. And most people, like I've been here and worn the t-shirt now and I'm talking about this, but like just go down to the pub, have a few pints and that's it. There's
That's,
nothing like that, like, you know, it's
but like, again, it's each person's attitude. Like, we live on a small island, like we have Glyn and we have like Shannon River. We should all be doing water sports. We should all own a canoe or a kayak. We should own windsurfing. Like, why are we so afraid to like enter the water and explore what the water has to offer? Like sailing, you know, I did some sailing with my dad here in Foyne Sailing Club. It's about your perspective. And if you want to stick with the people who go down drinking to the pub, all well and good. That's all maybe that will come out of it. You know, you might get a shift by the end of the night, but like, what's the likelihood of that relationship? You know, it's kind of better to enter a conscious relationship that happens in the soberness rather than maybe the unconscious, because, you know, I'm not sure, like, there's such a high rate of divorce and separation, and, you know, I have it in my own family. So I think going forward, you know, it's trying to make wise decisions in terms of, you know, all those unconscious decisions we make. I actually wrote down, because I was reading that book, you know, by Eckhart Tolle, and because I often write things down, but this is what it says: human beings are meant to evolve into conscious beings, and those who do not will suffer the consequences of their unconsciousness. And, you know, when you drink alcohol and all these things, you become unconscious, you know, your state of being, but you're going to make bad decisions, but then you're going to have to suffer with the consequences. So there's so much on our doorstep at the same time, Park. We have the, you know, the high field. We can go running in nature. We can go to a river, up to the windmills. Go off into the forest and get lost for yourself and bring a compass. It's about going outside of that comfort zone and not being afraid to be alone, you know?
Yeah. I think a lot of it is kind of mindset. We always focus on what we don't have instead of what we actually have right here. Do you know, we've all, you know, flourish and be, you know, active as people, make ourselves better and the people around us. So it's just you see things really is what makes them. Do you know?
And we're in our own way of flourishing. We can all flourish, but often we stop ourselves, maybe just because we're so identified with that person who we are, that, oh, we're the person that always looks at the glass half full rather than the glass, you know, or the glass half empty rather than the glass half full. But it's totally your mindset. And once you start changing your mindset and you start becoming more of a positive self-talker to yourself, you'll notice so many people around you. And when they talk negatively, I even see with my younger cousins, I'll always correct them and say, well, what's positive about this situation? Because I'm sick of hearing this negative. Oh, this is this, this is it. Let's talk more positively. And then they get used to the fact that, okay, we're around Tara. We can't be talking in this negative self-talk because she just won't tolerate it. We need to talk positive. And that's how it is. It's like a catalyst to change. And hopefully the people around you want to flourish too, you know, flourish together.
Yeah, and I think a major part of it too, say like we learn initially like as kids through behavior. So like it's what our parents do and things like that. And I'm very grateful for what everything my parents have done. They've given me countless opportunities, but there was still kind of that mindset growing up that you know, it was that Irish nature, Irish culture. It's complain about things. It's this, it's that. I think we're moving more towards though that when the next generation come, like please God, if many of us can have families and things, and if we're blessed in that way, that we can actually nurture our kids and say, this is how you behave, you know, this is how you act, and that's
Yeah.
how you get the most out of life, really, you know, because
I know there's such a big part of, you know, your family. And you know, it can be hard as well if you come from a family where there is maybe, you know, toxic behaviors, whether it's overuse of alcohol or, you know, violence. It can be quite difficult and traumatizing, and it can be hard to get out of and things like that. But I suppose you just have to work with what you have and, you know, try not to fall into the same boat as that person, and try to, you know, protect your vibration and do the things that increase your vibration, you know.
yeah, 100%. Another thing as well, just with flirting, basically, like a lot of people, you know, it's like they might judge other people straight away. And like you said there, you don't know what's going on in someone else's life. Like
Yeah.
there could be something going on in their family, and that's maybe why they're behaving in a certain way. And it's just important to kind of for people to realize that just
Yeah.
because something about someone, it doesn't necessarily mean it's true. So
Yeah.
take face value, still be kind to them, and so at least know yourself, you were true to yourself, you were being a good person, and so that's what it's all about, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, like if you're able to look at someone and talk something bad about them, it's often your ego that's going to be talking bad about them, because our ego always wants to find faults in other people because it purely makes us feel better about ourselves. But you must recognize that that's a not a great tendency in you. But don't hate that about you. Just observe it, love it, because you still have to, that's your shadow self. You still have to accept those parts about you. Because if you talk negatively, then it's just like a vicious cycle. You need to change the psychology of your brain and talk positive, and then just become the observer. It's so important to step back from your thoughts and be like, that was really mean of me to say that. Like, why would I be so mean to speak about a person like that? Like, do I not think I'm good enough that I can maybe point out the good things in that person? And that's so powerful, you know, and you're going to feel better, because it's like anything. When you give money to a poor person on the streets, you actually release a chemical in your body. I'm not sure which chemical it is. Maybe it could even be a bit of a dopamine, but it's that feel good chemical that I've just done something really nice for a person. And all those chemicals actually help you again flourish, help you live longer. They're all those feelings, you know, the
Yeah,
good.
it's just it's the little things too, you know, like you said, pointing out the positives in someone, and it's amazing how just changing kind of your mindset, and like you
I
said,
know.
embrace the bad points too. Like say if you did say something mean to someone, at least if you change your mindset and see that as okay, well I can do better next time. It's an opportunity to grow instead of
Yeah.
dwelling on it completely and saying, oh my god, that was horrible. You know, it's actually oh
Yeah.
no, I rectified. You know,
Just recognize it. Exactly. It's not
yeah,
about beating yourself up about it, because then that's not self-love for you. It's just about recognizing it. And the minute you recognize it, you're just, that's such a powerful position, because then the ego can't exist. The ego nearly feels attacked, because it's like, oh my God, she's on to me. And she knows now that, like, you know, her thoughts and her self-talk or wherever that comes from is actually not her. And then that's when that person, that man or woman, starts to flourish, because they realize, I'm not going to identify with these thoughts any longer. They're so negative, because they've either come from a teacher or a father or an older figure who's maybe said negative things to you. And then just as a child, we learn, okay, this must be who I am. I'm clumsy, I'm stupid, I can't do maths, and we ingrain it in ourselves. But if you change it around and you say, I'm so balanced, I'm beautiful, then you're just gonna, you know, outsmart the ego. So it's cool.
Yeah, that's the win right there. Just recognizing it. It's just
Yeah,
you're halfway there. Like people don't
yeah,
realize, just
yeah,
even acknowledging, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or I did that well. It's you're like
yeah.
you're already reflecting, and reflection is really important. And then use that reflection to move forward. You know.
Yeah, we all make mistakes, like everything, even as a nurse, like, you know, I'm not going to slate doctors, but I'm just saying that sometimes nurses, we thought, oh, doctors will know everything, but often you'll have a trainee doctor coming in trying to put a needle in for the first time, and you're kind of like, oh my god, I thought you'd be so good at this, but you might just, you know, have been doing it longer. But they have to learn to make small mistakes as well, just as when I first started doing, you know, needles, I had to make mistakes, and the people have to give you forgiveness, and that's all we can ask for is forgiveness, because we might have been, you know, unconscious when we made decisions in the past. But, you know, all we can ask for is forgiveness, and then try to move on and be more a conscious person, you know.
Yeah, forgiveness is. I think it's such an underrated, act. It's so important because if
Yeah,
you forgive someone else, you're letting go of so much that is weighing you down. Like you don't even realize it. That if,
yeah,
like so many people know, the mindset I've kind of adopted. Say if someone does something to me, I don't take it personal
mhm,
because that's their action, and I can't influence their action, and that's okay. It's there's nothing we can do about it. So there's no forgiving is kind of the best way to do it, I think.
I know. And my dad, this is really mean sometimes, but my dad says this, and I actually don't really like it, but he says, like, if I insult you, Tara, it's your choice to get insulted or not. You can choose. You can get insulted and take it personally, or you can not get insulted. But at the same time, I think, like, why would you say something mean to me? Like, I think it's like not nice. So do I like not stay around that person? But at the end of the day, they're kind of like, I'm half of them, so I'm trying to forgive them. But if you're going to keep saying not nice things to me, I'm not going to stay around you. Like,
Oh, it's actually amazing. Carl Riff, he does a theory basically on positive relationships, things like that. It's Riff's scale of psychological well-being. But one of the things in it is like social well-being and how it increases with age, and how basically the actual whole purpose of it, it's how you give less of a shit as you get older what people say about you.
absolutely,
And
yeah, it makes sense.
yeah, you hear from our elders all the time, like it's that I don't care what they say, and you become more comfortable in your own skin. I think is what it's really all about. Is in like
Yeah,
I'm going to be and I am happy with that. So
yeah,
if someone else be happy, that's okay. But
yeah.
a lot of the people we do hear it from, they kind of have a mindset that they don't care how they impact other people either, which isn't necessarily the right way to go. But
Yeah, that's nearly like being just mean. Like, it's like, why would you still be mean, you know? So, but that's for you to recognize it. You can nearly just recognize it, laugh at that person, and think maybe. But then at the same time, you need to be aware, like, are you going to think, oh, that poor person, they obviously have pain inside them? But you need to be aware, is that your ego talking, because you're trying to be like, oh, I'm more healed than that person? So there's a lot of that as well. And even as you are getting more into finding your power and your passion, you have to kind of keep your ego in check as well. And that's tricky, because with social media, it is a lot of it's driven by ego. If we're not being our authentic self, we're often trying to get likes, and that's just your ego again. So there's so much about the psychology of our brains and our minds, you know, we could talk about it for days.
this could be like a never-ending podcast because
I'm just going to sit here and meditate in silence.
So, if you were to sum up, basically, if you could give 3 tips for people on how to best to flourish, what would you give them?
um as I was kind of mentioning before, I don't know, this kind of goes back to self-care, but you need to sit down with a pen and paper and look at what brings you the most happiness, where you are feeling the most alive and passionate, whether it's running around up the fields with ear pods in your ears and you're listening to the best soundtrack ever and you're just really dancing and letting all your worries go, and writing down a list. And then as well, looking back at your childhood and looking at what made you the most happiest as a kid. What were you most involved with? Was it playing trucks? Was it with animals? Was it swimming? And connect back into your inner child, and don't be afraid to let the adult responsibility go for a while and really just get into your inner child a bit more, because that inner child wants to kind of connect with that adult person. It's still there. We all have that inner child, and we often can learn a lot from just observing children, how they're very in the present moment. They just start fiddling with something or playing in a box and just being in the present moment of life, and taking time out maybe for yourself and just checking in with yourself and how you're feeling. Maybe if it's around like comfort eating. I know I can comfort eat, like I don't smoke, I'm not a drinker, but I do tend to eat maybe 1 or 2 extra biscuits, or like I'll even just eat too many lollies and stuff. But then you need to check in with yourself and say, why am I doing that? Where am I feeling maybe unease? Where am I feeling anxious? And why? Because 1 sweet, 2 sweets is fine, but when you eat the whole bag, you don't feel good, and that's not self-love. So it's about as well observing, and that's something that I'm definitely working on, even, you know, at the moment, because, you know, life's always challenging us, but we need to just be in check more with our bodies as to why we're doing the things we're doing, and just become more of an observer. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned then self-care there. So I know that's an important aspect of your life, the way you speak about it. So what does self-care mean to you, and why is it so important in your life?
um, self-care is about coming in sick every day to work and saying you're on self-care. No, it's not. Um, self-care is so about slowing down. Like I know when I was in Australia, like, and I worked full time, you know, and full time is such a, it's a lot. And then I looked at other people and they were only on, we'll say, zero point 0.7, whereas I would have been on 0.10. And the other person might have been having much more energy to just be more, just having more energy. Whereas when you overwork yourself, what's the point of anything if you're just going to be burnt out at the end of it? So often self-care is about slowing down, taking time out for yourself, not trying to keep up with the Joneses, because then you're overworking, you're trying to accumulate so much stuff. We don't leave this earth with anything. So I think by slowing down, enjoying the things that truly make you happy from a non-egotistical point of view, more of the letting go, releasing, dancing, singing, doing the fun stuff. That's a lot recently that I've realized with self-care. And setting healthy boundaries can be tricky for some people as well. Even myself, setting healthy boundaries, surrounding myself with people that recognize good things in me and want to, you know, vibrate at a higher level rather than maybe do unhealthy habits like, you know, anything, smoking, drinking too much alcohol. A lot of those things, you know, there's so much around self-care, you know, and I think each person knows it within themselves if they're giving it to themselves or not. I don't think self-care is sitting in front of Netflix all day long. Maybe, yeah, now and again it's fine, but even when you're sitting in front of Netflix, you're often just reenacting, like you're watching a movie and you're imagining your life being like that. Whereas get out and actually be in your life. You know, it's happening right now. Go for a walk, play in nature, you know.
Yeah, the amount of people though that I ask, like with self-care, it's like this topic and they're like, oh, that I can't do that because influencers go on about it and all this, but it's actually it's 2 4-letter words. It's very basic. But the amount of people I speak to, and I just ask them, what do you enjoy doing? And they look at me as if I have 4 heads in me. It's like, oh yeah, I watch Netflix when I might, you know, in my free time, and I kind of just like might eat something nice or something like that. I was like, but is there anything that you do that you enjoy that is beneficial to you? And they're just like, they're mystified, you know, as into what it could be, and
Yeah.
to be able to take up hobby, to know what to do, or
Mm-hmm.
if they see things that are, you know, they see, oh, this person here goes for a walk on the beach, and they say it's great for them because of X, Y, and Z. And then
Mm-hmm.
they go and do that because someone else is doing it, but they actually don't know what's inside them and what they want.
That's, yeah, that's so massive. Like doing something just because you see someone else doing it and they're making it look nice. You need to do what makes you happy. And there's such a feeling of coming into your own power and just who you are as a person when you find out what truly makes you happy. And when you dedicate the time, you know, whether it's you say to your children, go for a walk with your dad. I'm going to spend the next hour at my desk painting a beautiful picture on this blank canvas. with a, you know, incense burning and the playlist music on. And it's about just creating those boundaries and doing something for yourself that you haven't done in a while, just changing up the status quo. Don't be just in a monotonous cycle of life like Netflix now or something else. A bit of it's fine and stuff, but I feel like life's going away from you and you're just watching. Netflix will be there for the rest of all our lives, and it will constantly be putting up new shows, new this, but it's all other people's lives, and your life is right now, and it's so important to just be doing what you love. Yeah.
Like, you're actually right, because I think people get so bogged down by like a series they watch or anything, and next thing they're just trying to like take off a character and just like, oh yeah, I want to be like this. And then when some little thing goes wrong, like all them series, people forget they're dramas, and they're to have these making small deals into huge deals, and then it's obviously influencing people's mindsets that when something comes a cropper in their life, that they have to react like their reactions are in the storyline to make it like a big drama, instead of being, oh, okay, I'm in control of the situation, I can be calm, I know myself, I trust myself, that what the things to do that'll make this better, you know.
Yeah, and it's about realigning. You know, I work with chakras as well, you know, the 7 chakras starting from the spine all the way up to the root, and it's about getting connected to your chakras in terms of speaking your truth, having a higher vision, you know, using your intuition, listening to your trust. All these things are harbored within our body, and if we're not in alignment, it's like having a violin. Our violin will go out of tune, and our bodies will go out of tune if we've spent time around not such healthy habits. But once you start working with your body and doing what your body truly wants and is taking care of your body will resonate at a higher frequency, and that helps with your immune system. It helps with everything. I haven't got COVID yet, thank God. None of my family really have. And all these things have a massive knock-on, beautiful, beneficial, you know, side effect about, you know.
And with chakras, Tara, if you just don't mind giving a few notes on them, a small, because I'm not majorly familiar with them actually myself. So you were talking about like chakras for me and the different ones for you, or what kind of way does it work?
Everyone has the same 7 chakras. One starts at the root, and it's the pelvis, so it's the base of your spine, and that is the root chakra. Then the next one is the sacral chakra on the tummy underneath the belly button. Then you have the solar plexus above the belly button. Then you have the heart chakra. They all have different colors, but the colors never change. So green is heart chakra, blue is communication, throat chakra. Then you have third eye, intuition. Then you have crown chakra. And basically how we learned it was that in our body, these chakras are like a motorway going through our body, sending signals, you know, up and down our spine, because our spinal cord is the main motorway to our brain. But if your chakras are blocked, if you have back pain, anything like that, then all your side motorways, so all the side roads which come out from your main chakra motorways, it will go out of tune. You'll have aches and pains. There will be symptoms of having blocked chakras. But working with chakras, you know, there's lots of different things you can do, from mantra to sounds, like even humming the word Om over the whole exhalation. Om was the sound the earth made, they believe, when it was first created. It made this sound Om. They even say if you do it to babies, it soothes babies and animals, this Om sound. And that vibration actually helps, like, we say release any blockages. Same with the sound bowls. I have the 7 of them. When you know, resonate them, and when you create a sound on them, they create this vibration which moves through the bodies. And because the bowls are made of 99.9% quartz crystal, we have crystals within our bones, crystalline. We actually have crystals within our bones, and those crystals resonate with the frequency in our body. So it creates this vibration within our body, which starts to loosen up any blockages and release and open up the chakra, you know. Got to do with anything. It can be heart pain, throat pain, pain from past, you know, trauma, all these things.
Can you feel all this while, like, you know, you're doing it? Like, and would you have to be able to activate it, or could, if I started doing it now, would you have to coach me 100% through it? Would it take me a while, or could you just straight?
A lot of it, I incorporate a lot of it in my class, because it's best to get grounded, get lying in your shavasana, which is dead man pose, fully on your mat, and put a blanket around you to feel as safe and comfortable as possible. And then I would work a little bit with the breath first before we just get into it, because you want to make sure you're relaxed and your parasympathetic nervous system is all activated and you're in a space to feel the vibration, because they believe that the whole earth, we are all a frequency and a vibration, and our body resonates with other things of vibration. And you were on about different cultures, we'll say from Ireland to Australia. Recently in Eckhart Tolle's book, he speaks about older countries having a denser energy frequency because of past histories of, the baby and the nuns, the priest abusing children. All this past history carries energy, and that energy can be quite dense, and dense just means it's foggy, it's cloudy energy. But when you go to younger countries like Australia and Canada, the energy is much more lighter. You can feel it the minute you step off the plane. You're just like, there's a feeling in the air. And that all comes to, just the frequency of the people around there, because it makes sense. If there's a country that has had a lot of history of pain and trauma, the people will be carrying it within their bodies.
Yeah, it's amazing the way you say it. Like you can feel it when you get off the plane,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I wonder, like you'll be saying there about behavior, how we learn through behavior, but I wonder, is it more than that? The way kind of you're describing it, like through the history, like it's being carried on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd love to actually try that someday with you.
Yeah, you're totally up for giving you a class and seeing how you feel. It works. Because at the start, I remember being worried that maybe the sound wouldn't come through so much for the girls and the class I was doing on the other side, compared to being in an actual room, because it really has a loud, resonant vibration. Like you just turn it with a mallet, but the minute you take it away, it continues to sound, and the sound waves actually go from the left hemisphere of the brain to the right. You can feel like so much different things. And like one time I wanted to be part of the class, and I was like, how can I be part if I'm doing it? So I got my mom to do it. I was like, Mom, I trust you, like, just, it's so easy to do. So I lay there, but I actually had quite a bit of a pain coming down my left hand, and I could feel it coming out of my hand, but I just let the noise and the energy work with my body. I was constantly breathing, and it's all about releasing. So on your exhalation, that's when you release. You're always releasing, and you're inhaling all the good stuff. But it's normal to have maybe aches and pains once they're not excruciating, because that can just be the body doing its thing, releasing and getting rid of any toxins that might be stuck or harbored there from old pains that you're carrying,
Yeah, and I wonder, like, just from your experience, would a lot of it have to come down to the frame of mind you come into the class? Would you need to be in an open kind of mind that you think that this is going to work for you? And maybe if you have
help. I think it would help, yes. But at the end of the day, if you're coming to the class, you're coming with a curiosity to see it and to feel it. And if you're going to sit there and your eyes are closed and you're just going to like be critical of the sound, then you're just living in the past. Whereas if you're just in the present moment, and like our philosophy teacher, Sebastian, always taught us, he said, don't accept, don't reject, just contemplate. You can't accept, reject, just contemplate it. Don't have an answer for it straight away. Just contemplate, give it a go, don't say yes, don't say no, just contemplate, give it a chance. And your body is always trying to heal itself. Our body is always trying to send us signals when we have something wrong with us, whether it's pain. Like for me, when I have pain, I rarely take, I'm so stubborn, and like I know I'm a nurse, but I'll rarely take a tablet, because I just feel like I want to observe the pain. I don't want to numb the pain, because if I numb the pain, that's, our body is telling us we have a pain for a reason. Whether we have a pain in our head, we need to drink more water, we need to get fresh air. You don't just pop a Panadol. That's not an answer,
It's clearly something we're doing in our lives.
And Western medicine is so much about, oh, you have a pain, here's a pill. And it just frustrates me, because that's not the answer, It's such a big problem, like.
Same though, prevention over cure. Like, if you're doing the right things, if you're eating healthy, if you're getting active, you're not going to be sick. It's just the proven fact. Like, but I love what you said there. You're on about your teacher, your philosophy teacher, and that he said to just contemplate. I always say, never make decisions under pressure, or never make rushed decisions.
Yeah.
It's like, even like in relationships and things like that, people often react instead. Let it sit. And if you still feel the same way, and when you're more in a better state of mind, but let things sit. Like,
And as well, the other thing is, like, whatever is divinely for you is belong to you, you know, and they say what's for you won't pass you. If you're magnetically meant to be with someone, you'll just be with that person. Whereas if you try to force it, is it the ego that wants the person? You know, if you give each other space, maybe you can do your own self-discovery and come back a fabulous, more better version of yourself, rather than people, so many relationships, it's all triggering one another. And there's a lot of relationships that I think it's so tough, I'd say, to be in a relationship if you can. I don't know how I'm going to be in a relationship one day, but I just hope I'll be a good version of you know, myself, and be conscious, you know.
Yeah, but when you go back to self-care, like I remember having a conversation about it with you recently, but like you have to love yourself before you're going to go and give your love to someone else. Because
Yeah,
if you love who you are and everything about you, like you're going to be self-conscious, thinking, okay, what are they thinking of me? And you're going to overthink everything, and
yeah,
there's emotions there that are coming, and it's impossible to deal with it. It's
yeah,
impossible to make it work
yeah.
unless you know. So it all comes back, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, because, you know, being codependent and all these things, you know, they're just not good in relationship. You know, you need to find out who you are and what triggers you, and, you know, learning about yourself is so important, because, you know, you'll free up so much trauma and pain in relationships that can be prevented, you know, from whether it's insecurities. And, you know, it's a whole other topic we could get into, but yeah, it's interesting nonetheless.
Definitely. And with yourself, then, is there anything in particular that you do, really for you, like your self care, a daily routine that you have?
Yeah, let me think. I was thinking of something really funny there, but I think it's a bit inappropriate. But yeah, self-love, love yourself, you know, give yourself all the love that you need, and and
You're
take
laughing.
what?
What's the inappropriate thing? Because I'm curious that you're laughing all the time. I
um,
have the content on YouTube not turned to PG, so you're okay. Work away.
yeah. You know, orgasms are good for you too, guys, so don't be afraid to have them.
I need water. 1 second.
You know, that stuff is good because you're releasing a lot of that, so that's good. And the other thing is taking time out, pick up a good book and a pencil. I'm reading New Earth at the moment. I read it before, but I feel like I've come back to it to read it again, because I'm just taking a step back from overworking and slowing down my life. Why am I overworking so quick to achieve what? I should slow down and learn about myself, because, you know, you get one life, so you want to take your time. Why am I in a rush, you know? So slow down. Slow down. I think that's a big thing for me as well. Have a cup of tea and take your time drinking it. Look out the window, observe nature. Remember, we were speaking about nature. There's so much in nature that's so beautiful. Like, it's springtime now, the birds are all singing. Go for a walk with a bag of nuts and feed the robins and the birds, and look closely into nature. There's so many symbols and signs we get from nature that is really powerful messages all the time. You know, plant a pot of flowers. You do something creative that, you know, you've always wanted to do.
Definitely. Actually, it's funny you speak kind of of nature and robins and things, because like we have a bird house. It's small little. It's not actually a bird house. It's a small little thing that you can feed the birds in, like. And there's this one robin since Christmas time. He's been coming back to us the whole time. My dad has started feeding him nearly every weekend, like, you know, and he's always coming back.
Yeah,
And it's no, by the look in his eye, it's the same one.
yeah.
But just when you said the word robin, it kind of triggered me, like kind of with robins, people coming back from the dead, kind of they
I
always say,
know, I think of that too. Is
yeah,
that something you've heard your parents say though? I've heard my mom say, like, oh, that might be grand and out there because it's the same robin.
yeah. And I just, ever since he kind of, that robin started coming to the house, I started visiting my grandparents above, like they're dead, like, but above in the cemetery.
Yeah,
And people think I'm crazy. I actually have a conversation with my
yeah,
grandfather. I actually talk to them. I tell them what's going on. I tell them, like, you'd struggle in this, imagine in this pandemic, the way things
yeah.
are. You're very social people we wouldn't be able to see and all this.
Yes.
No, and it's amazing how, like, you can release by talking, even if someone's not there, just a
Yeah.
nice conversation with
That's
nature.
so nice, isn't it? Because, you know, there's so much around death and everyone has so many different beliefs, but often they say, like, the spiritual world is just a very thin veil between us and them. So that's really nice to have that conversation and honor them, you know, as spirits and beings, just because they're not there in the physical form. I'm sure they can vibrationally hear you connecting with them. So that's so nice.
Yeah, I think just think little things like that, like they're kind of, you can connect more with yourself and with like nature and them as well. Like, you know, I think it's an amazing kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough, I know it's a bit off topic, but like I kind of, well, for years I had no relationship kind of with God and things, and it's
Mm.
only in the last, say, year and a half that I've sort of welcomed it back. And I think the
Yeah.
best thing that if you do connect with your spiritual self, that you're not judged. You know, there's no one telling you you can't come back. Like
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
no,
yeah, that's so nice. Yeah, that God or Jesus is always there to forgive you of all your sins. And every time, you know, you relapse and become an unbeliever, he always is welcoming again to be like, I'm here again whenever you need me. So yeah, that's so nice.
it's like that self acceptance, isn't it? Like it's okay if you do bad, because now you're back again and you want to do good. You know, you're
I know,
forgiving yourself
it's so
for,
nice. We're so lucky we have that, you know,
yeah,
scope of practice to make mistakes and not be just shunned upon or thrown out straight away. You know, that he is always, you know, going to forgive and love us. But it's just so nice to, yeah, to know that unconditional love. Yeah.
yeah. It's something we could really carry through with, you know, each other more than anything, and pass on that message. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, fascinating. But we're nearly there. I've kept you a nice bit of time. You're great, though, so it has to be talk while you're fun. So we just a couple of things. So I did an Instagram kind of poll thing before Christmas, and I just want to link it into this as much as I can, because a lot of people have been texting me saying, "Where's it gone? Where's it gone?" I'm like, okay, I have a plan to bring it back. Don't worry. So I've just a few questions to you based off those polls.
Yeah.
And first one is, do you look more to the past or to the future?
I try to live in the present moment as much as possible, but that can be quite tricky because when we're trying to become a better version of ourselves, we might be looking at the past just to see that what can I carry on, you know, forward to the future. But I think it's important as much as possible to be in the present moment, because in the future will happen in the present moment. So the present moment is all that you ever are guaranteed. And if you're not in the present moment, then you're not creating much. You're just living in a disconnection in yourself. So present moment all the way if you can.
Yeah, definitely. Because we get so kind of lost in, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that, and I have this get to do this week. The next thing, you just get overwhelmed so easily. But if
Yeah.
you just take a step back and say, okay, I'm here now. I know I can do this in the future, and I will do it, and I'll act on it now instead of
Yes.
constantly about the next thing. Just focus on one thing at a time.
Yeah,
You know.
definitely.
So the next one is, do you believe in perfection?
Like, obviously, look at me. Joke. um,
Just for any guys looking, they might want to know, are you single the way?
yeah, I'm single, but working on myself. So hands up.
Fire flowers. Yeah.
So perfection, I don't think there's much, I don't think like worry about perfection. It's better to be authentic and be real and be your true self. There's no one else in the world who's like you, Park, and there's no one else in the world who's like me. And when we try to be like someone else, then we lose who we truly are. I think if you try to find who you are, then that's amazing. That's perfect in its own self. But being who you are and finding that inner power and passion and, you know, kindness. Yeah. What do you think? Are you perfect?
No, I'm not. But
You're close.
the glow off the light in me, so it's very. No, do you know what I think? Actually, I think like you said there, what's perfect to you might not be perfect to me.
Yeah.
And I think, like, say we were talking about relationships and kind of self acceptance, things like that. I remember Ed Sheeran actually, his song "Perfect," and it's like, I think, and part of it, it's like, you're perfect to me.
Yeah.
Though you mightn't see it, it's that the other person, like in my eyes, you might be perfect, but
Yes.
you mightn't actually see yourself as perfect. You know, and that's kind of how I determine it. I think there's a load of different variables at play. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's perfect to someone mightn't be perfect for another. So
Mm-hmm.
actual outright perfection, no, I don't see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely
And funny enough, you actually mentioned a part of my next question. You're on about being authentic, so it's nice that it rolled off.
not.
So would you discuss basically authenticity and popularity kind of in modern life is, particularly in social media, it's kind of a key feature I notice a lot.
So I think try not to strive to be popular, just try to strive to be authentic, and then if popularity comes, then great. But it's not about focusing on the popularity, it's about continuing to keep sowing the seed from your authentic self, because then that will never run out. Where trying to be popular because maybe it's brands of clothes, then you're constantly trying to accumulate, and that's just a waste of your money, really. And a lot of it can be ego again. So being authentic is amazing.
Yeah, and do you think that people kind of, just based off your experience with people in life and things like that, do you think people strive to be more popular, or do you think they actually want to be authentic?
I think a lot of people are afraid to. Um, I think in order to be really authentic, you have to as well do a lot of healing, possibly, because well, maybe just me. Well, I think there is a lot of people. We can all have, room to heal ourselves. But I think it's probably split. Some people are out there to be popular, but you'll know straight away the vibration you get, whether they're being their authentic self, or if they're just doing it for popularity, and that's fine for them. But it's just about being true to yourself.
Yeah, I think to, like you were saying there, I just think to be authentic, I think you have to be content with yourself as an actual person and be comfortable
Yeah.
expressing me, and I'm comfortable sharing that. I think a lot of people that try and be popular, it's actually not because they're like ignorant or anything like that. I think it's just because they're afraid to be anything else. And they haven't done that
Yeah.
healing. They're not at the
Yeah.
stage got there yet that I'm comfortable with me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
absolutely. And each of us has a message, like each of us has a message to put out to the universe. And it's about looking in and not being afraid to speak up. And whether that's doing a call like this, or whether it's creating a private page where you don't show your identity, but you can still portray the message and express the message. I think that's really important, because each person is really valuable. As they say in Desiderata poem, you are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here, whether you know it or not. And it's about that.
love that. You know,
My mom, it's actually hanging up on my wall. She bought it for me for Christmas. My mom swears by that poem, and it's kind of a poem that sums up life. And it's Desiderata, so look it up. It's wonderful as well.
It's funny you have a poem on your wall, because actually, if I'm not in the room at the moment, but in my kitchen, my mother nearly killed me. In a big, it's not an A, it's like, what's the size of like A4
Oh,
times
I
4?
think you're frozen, Park.
Am I?
Just
Am
for
I
a
back?
second, you're good now. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. But I literally wrote out the poem "If" in a huge, like, massive page. I think it's like an A1, and like I stuck it up in the middle of my kitchen, like right in the wall as soon as you walk in. Then my mother's fit.
What's it up? What's
The
the
poem,
poem about?
it's by Rudyard Kipling. It's called "If." It's basically like things like, say, if you can if you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, and then if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same. That's one verse of it.
Oh, look at you knowing it off, aren't you the real poet?
Oh, my grandfather would be very unhappy if I didn't.
Well, that's really nice. I'm gonna have to look that up. So yeah, there you go.
Yours, yeah, definitely. Learn something new every day.
I know, absolutely.
All right, so just to finish up, because I've kept you nearly too long at this stage, what 3 recommendations would you give to listeners, just if they were just starting off on this journey? What would be the 3 main things for them to do to improve their
What
well?
journey are we talking about? Are we talking about a spiritual journey, a wellness journey, life journey? There's so many.
That's true. You've given me the life as a river and the motorway through our body.
Yeah.
2 very nice
Yeah.
anecdotes.
I think I think that I recently heard a beautiful affirmation, and the affirmation is the dream. What is it again? The dream I nurture for this life will come to fruition. So I think it's about going within a little bit more, because we're in the age of Aquarius, and the age of Aquarius is all about introversion and looking within you rather than looking outside for answers. And I think it's important that we sit with ourselves and we really contemplate, what is it we feel we are here to do? Is it a dead-end job and do everything really unconsciously, you know, go out, get drunk, pick up a girl, get her pregnant, all these things, like, you know, I'm not saying that happens, but some people will do that. But I think it's to sit with yourself and really go within and have a listen to what your intuition is trying to send you a message as to who you are and what kind of a message you are here to provide planet Earth, you know, whether it's mass awakening on the planet. That's one thing I would say. I hope that answers the question.
Oh, that's, yeah, it's your take is all I wanted to hear. That's all. And as I just think, just on that as well, I think it's just very important for them to be patient. So they mightn't get the answer straight away, you know, and people think that, clicking the fingers, if I start doing this, it's going to work. It takes time. It really does. And patient with yourself. It doesn't happen overnight. You might be lucky and it does, and it just light bulb moments. But if it doesn't, like, I think everyone will eventually, you know, they'll get where they want to be. And
Exactly, but become curious. Don't just become shut down and like giving up on yourself and just watch Netflix, do this, be a robot. You need to become curious about what's life about. Who am I? What am I here to do? What makes me happy? It's about to ignite that fire within you and just like rise like a phoenix, you know, out of the ashes. People, some of the most awakened spiritual leaders of this lifetime and of people we know are some of the people who have gone through the worst pains and traumas. So if you've come from a disturbed past or a painful past, then amazing, you have so much to work with because you've experienced so much pain. But at the other spectrum of pain is this unbelievable euphoric, you know, enlightenment and self-actualization. So that's important. Oh, you're gone.
No, I'm here.
Oh, you're there. I saw P. So yeah, that's important as well, you know.
It is, and I think just to avoid the block of a resistance to change, I think it's kind of inherited in our culture that, like you were saying there, if your daily life is just about watching Netflix and just eating comfort food and things like that, like ask yourself the question, are you actually happy with this? And is this what you want from your life? Or am I going to make a change? And actually try and make that change really is like the first step is contemplation. You know, so many people are in the state of contemplation where they haven't even made aware of the change. But if you contemplate it at first and then your own action, so just
exactly. And remember as well, I mentioned yesterday about in an airplane, if an airplane is going down, the number one, the two masks we'll say, or whatever, drop down, we'll say a baby and a mother or father. And if we'll say it's the father, you have to put on your mask first, be it the adult, and then the child. And it's the same for parents nowadays. You have to look after yourself, because if you're not looking after yourself, you cannot look after your child, and you come first. You might love your child, but you have to come first as well. And I know they might be crying and they need a bottle, that's fine, but you need to look after yourself, and it's about yourself. The best project you will ever work on this journey of life is yourself, you know.
Yeah, that's I like that. I think that nearly literally sums up everything we just said. Our best project is ourselves. 100%. Tara, it's been an absolute pleasure. I could not have picked a better first guest to have share a dance partner.
I'm so glad you picked me. I feel honored, and hopefully you got it all recorded and we weren't on mute. So
for those of you wondering, Tara did all this, the whole lot of it yesterday, and it didn't record thanks to me.
Hi guys, so we did this amazing talk and conversation, and then Park messaged me heartbroken, and I thought maybe, of course, my mind thought, oh, maybe your dog died or something, because you just put a heartbroken thing and said, guess what happened? I was like, I hope nothing bad happened. And then you're like, it didn't record. And I was like, that's fine, we can just do it again.
I was like,
if at first you don't succeed, eat some cake.
I didn't have cake, but I actually got the cake, so technically, we could actually go into